Okay, so if you'd like to join me for this short 30-minute yoga flow, roll out your mats, and if you have a couple of blocks handy or a cushion to pop under your seat, and we'll start on the floor in a seated position for a little bit of breath work before we stretch out and strengthen all the way through the body. So simple seats, and if you pop a block or a cushion underneath your tailbone, it'll just lift up your tailbone so that drops your knees down to the floor and gives you this really nice sitting position with a nice curve in the lumbar spine, in the lower back. It really does open up the chest and lift the heart here in this easy seat. So let's start the breath work together. And if we open up the arms on a big inhale, arch through the spine and give yourself a hug as you exhale. Inhale all the way through the spine, lift the heart, lift the chest, and exhale, folding and rounding through the spine. Inhale, big deep breath, lift your heart to the sky, and give yourself a hug. Let's do one more of those. Inhale and exhale, give yourself a hug. And now taking the arms high above you, inhale and exhale, relax the arms down beside you. Inhale, lifting high, stretching through the spine. Exhale down. Inhale high. And exhale all the way down. And let's take a little twist over to our right side. So placing your right hand behind you, your left hand on that outer thigh, keeping the spine nice and elongated. Let's twist around to the right side, keeping the tension out of the neck. So moving your head around a little bit, making sure you're not straining the neck as you're in this easy seat twist. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that on the other side. So stretching around to your left side, using the hand behind you to press into the mat so that you can elongate the spine even more. Just a little bit of pressure on that front hand to really stretch through the spine. And coming back to center, let's just stretch out the side, reaching over to the right, bringing the left hand up around the body, all the way overhead. And as you do this, let's use that right hand to press into the mat and roll open your chest as you stretch over to the side and feel that through your waist, all the way up through your arm. And back to center. Let's do that on the other side. Over to your left side. Stretch up to go over your head. And again, lifting and opening up your heart, opening the chest to that right diagonal corner of the room. Keep the breaths going. And coming back to center, let's remove the block and we'll come on to all fours. So cat-cow. So our hands are hip distance apart, directly underneath the shoulders. Our knees are about hip distance apart, and just really relax out the front of your feet, press them down into the mat behind you. And on an inhale, we're going to arch the spine and look up to the top of our mat in front of us. Inhale, big inhale, stretching out the spine. And exhale and start to round all the way through the lower back, the upper back, the shoulders spread wide. And inhale as we arch the spine. And exhale, rounding through the lower back, through the upper back. And coming back into the center, let's take our weight over to the right side and extend out your left leg behind you. Now curl your left toes behind you. And if you can, find your balance and lift up the right hand. Now, if you can, lift up the left leg with the right hand and really stretch through the body. And you'll feel this working all the way through your spine, all the way through your hamstring muscle. Big inhale, exhale it down. And we'll come back into our cat-cow, and let's do that on the other side. So putting a lot of your weight over onto that left side, let's take our right foot behind us, curl the toes under, and when you find your balance, take up your left hand and stretch your arm out in front of you. And if you can, find your balance and lift that right leg with the left arm. Nice big stretch all the way through the spine. Keeping those big deep breaths going. One more big deep breath. And placing the hands down, we're back in cat-cow. And let's move back into a child pose. So stretching out your fingertips as further to the front of the mat as you possibly can. Really stretch out those fingertips, walking out the hands, stretching through the shoulders, and then place your forehead down onto the mat and relax your elbows down onto the mat and feel that stretch through the shoulders. A little bit of a rock side to side. This is our go-to pose in yoga. Whenever things get a little bit too much, you can always come down into a child's pose. Beautiful restorative pose. And on an inhale, let's look up between the hands, rocking our body up forward, tucking your toes underneath you, keeping the tailbone high. We're going to press up into our first downward facing dog, but this time we're going to actually keep our knees very, very bent and lift the tailbone high. So the tailbone is high, the knees are bent. Stretching the arms, all 10 fingertips pushing into the mat, high up on the toes. Feeling that stretch through the back, and then slowly start to elongate those legs, stretching the legs out, keeping the heels high, and now keeping the tailbone high. Let's place our heels down on the mat and feel that stretch all the way through the hamstrings, the calves, all the way into your heels. And here we are in our first downward facing dog. And feel that stretch along the back of the legs, the calves, the hamstrings. One last nice big stretch in downward dog. Inhale, exhale. And now looking up between the hands, inhale. And let's walk our feet up to meet the hands. Now, if you need a couple of blocks here to help you stretch over your legs, it might be comfortable to do so. If you've got a couple of blocks, then you can stretch out the back of your legs and feel that stretch along the back of your hamstrings. It might be a little bit more comfortable than placing your hands on the floor. And let's fold all the way down over the legs. You can bend them. Bending the legs, nice. Reach over the legs and let your head hang down like a really heavy bowling ball. Feel that through the neck, really nice. And inhale, placing your hands on your calves. Let's come up halfway. Nice long spine. Inhale. Exhale all the way down. And inhale, let's roll up through the body all the way up. Bringing our arms up to the sky. Big stretch, palms together, and bringing your hands down in front of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, really nice big lift all the way to the ceiling. And let's bring our hands down all the way down to the floor. Little bend in the knees, half lift, long spine, placing your hands on the block or on your shins. Really feel that stretch through the spine in this half lift, and then coming all the way down. If you want to stretch out your legs, you can, but if you feel some tightness still in the hamstrings, you can have a nice little bend in your legs and using your blocks to support you here. And rolling up one more time, all the way on a big deep inhale to the sky, placing your hands together, Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. One more time, lifting and stretching, big inhale, exhaling all the way down. And now moving your blocks to one side, keeping your legs nice and bent. Place your hands down on the mat and let's lift up the right foot and place it down behind us. Now we're going to stay high up on the toes and scoot this left foot out to the outside of the left side of the mat, and placing your right hand exactly in line with your left foot. Let's start to come up into a nice twist. This is easy twist. So reaching and stretching up with that left arm. Our right leg is nice and straight, stretched out behind us. The heel is high. The torso is long. Continue with those beautiful, long, slow, deep breaths. One more big, deep inhale. And then bring it all down. Hands at hip distance apart. Let's bring back that left foot to meet the right foot. Nice stretch here in downward facing dog. And let's roll through the spine all the way forward to our plank pose. So our shoulders are directly above our wrists. The torso is active and the legs are really strong. Let's place our knees down onto the ground. Rock our body slightly forward. Inhale, exhale, coming all the way down to the mat. And let's inhale up to a baby cobra, keeping the shoulders far away from the ears. And rolling down on an exhale. One more time. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale down. Inhale, let's push our way back up onto the knees. Curl your toes at the back behind you. And pressing your tailbone high, lift, 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 lifting all the way back into your downward dog. Looking up between the hands on an inhale, let's start walking the hands all the way, the feet all the way back to the hands. And on a big inhale, coming all the way up to the sky, placing your palms together, bringing them down in front of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, reaching high above you and coming all the way down, folding over the legs. You can bend your legs if it's more comfortable to do so. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Exhale, coming down over the legs. Placing your hands hip distance apart. Let's do that on the other side. So let's take our left foot behind us and stay high on the toes. Walking out your right foot to the outside edge of the mat. Let's place our left hand directly in line with the left foot and open up that right arm so we're in a easy twist. And you can actually get a little bit of stretch here through the outside of the hip if you press that knee out and roll onto the outside edge of that foot. And keeping that leg active behind you. Nice long torso. Long, slow breaths. One more big deep breath in this beautiful stretch. And placing the hand down, hip distance apart. Let's bring back that right leg to meet the left. And pressing back into your downward facing dog. Nice big stretch here. Really connecting with the ground beneath you, all 10 toes, pressing your heels into the mat, all your knuckles, your fingertips, the heel of your hand. Inhale and start to roll through the spine all the way through to your plank pose. Placing the knees down, inhale, bring the body forward over the shoulders and slowly all the way down to the floor. Inhale up to your baby cobra, or you can press a little bit higher, pressing your hands down, keeping your shoulders all the way down your back, away from the ears. Nice big stretching cobra, and coming down on an exhale. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up into your cobra, and exhaling all the way down. And now inhale, coming all the way back up onto our knees, curl the toes behind you, pressing your tailbone high, really high to the sky, all the way back into our downward dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Big deep breaths through the nose, checking in on your body, any sensations, any little niggles, aches, pains, tuning into your body, being kind. And on an inhale, looking up between the hands, let's start to walk up back to the hands. Inhale up to a nice half lift, long spine. Folding over the legs. Inhale all the way up to the sky. And bringing your hands down in front of you, Anjali Mudra. And let's do that one more time, bringing our arms up high. Inhale. And bringing our hands down in Anjali Mudra. And now this time when we stretch up to the sky, I want you to come forward into your chair pose. So your tailbone reaches behind you, almost like you've got some tail feathers on the end of your tailbone there, and you're dipping them into a big bucket of water. So we're here in chair pose, reaching through the body as low as you can, really stretching out that back and working those big leg muscles, the quadriceps. And bringing our hands together, let's start to twist, and we'll come into a chair pose with this prayer twist. Looking down, making sure that our knees are not out of line, so pressing that left knee back. Continuing to breathe, nice long spine. Inhale, take it all the way up, and coming down again into our chair pose. Nice stretch through the spine, long arms, long reach. Bringing the palms together, let's twist to the other side. Maintaining slow, deep breaths, checking your knees are aligned. One more breath. And bringing it all the way up. Let's bring our hands down in Anjali Mudra. Big inhale to the sky and folding over your legs. And now this time, placing our hands down onto the mat, let's step back with our right foot. And this time, place our heel down so our foot's at about 45 degrees to the top of your mat. We're going to come up into our warrior one. Stretch into warrior one and just see if your hips are aligned. If they're not, you can adjust that back foot and try to focus on getting those hips facing the front of your mat so you have a nice big long stretch through the torso in warrior one. And now opening up the stance, let's reach that back arm behind us. And we've adjusted the feet now, so this back foot is at 90 degrees and our arms are out to the side. Here in warrior two, we'll just hold that for 2 more breaths, really working through the body. And stretching up in the center, let's bring our feet into parallel and your hands on your hips. So if you want to walk that in a little bit, we're going to bring the heels in and bending our knees, coming down into our goddess pose. So let's just find our goddess pose and rock through the feet, Feeling this beautiful hip opening that's happening now, keeping the back nice and straight and tucking the tailbone in. So don't allow your back to arch here. That's not good. So really using your abdominal muscles to shorten and bring your tailbone up between your legs. And here in Goddess, let's take that up to the sky. Big stretch, straighten your legs and bend as we come down. Inhale high and exhale down. Let's make sure our knees are in line with our feet. Inhale, exhale down. Just one more of these. Inhale. And then let's hold down in our Goddess pose just for a moment, really opening up those thighs. One big breath. Taking the arms out. Let's come back into our warrior two, facing the top of the mat. Just one more big deep breath here in warrior two. And windmill the arms down. Let's come back into a plank position. So now if you'd like to place the knees down, you can, or you can keep the knees off the floor. Inhale, rock the body forward, coming down in your chaturanga, upward dog, or your cobra, and pressing all the way back into a downward facing dog. We'll hold here for 3 breaths. That was a lot of work. Really waking up the body now. Walk in place in your downward dog. Let's bend the legs and come up high onto the toes, taking the heels high, the tailbone high, stretching that spine out. Beautiful stretch through the shoulders. Taking the tailbone high, straightening the legs, bring the heels down behind you. Look up between the hands and let's walk our feet back up to meet the hands. Inhale into a half lift, long spine. Exhale and fold all the way over your legs. Inhale all the way to the ceiling, bringing your hands together, Anjali Mudra, and coming down, folding over the legs. Inhale, half lift, long spine. Placing your hands down on the mat. Let's take our left foot behind us now and place that down at 45 degrees. We're coming up into our warrior one on the left hand side. So facing the mat, hips should be facing the front of your mat. Nice big stretch through the torso. Big deep breaths. Really working that front thigh. Back leg is strong and straight. Pressing the entire foot down into the mat behind you. And coming up through the center, let's change that back foot position and open it up into our warrior two. So nice, strong, straight back leg. Open up through the heart, through the chest. Long, deep breath through the nose. And coming up through the center, feet in parallel. Let's bring our hands down to the hips. Now I'll turn around so I'm facing you. So here we are, feet in parallel. We're going to slowly start to fold over the legs. Now you can have a bend in the legs if you're not sure about the flexibility in the hamstrings. So let's start to fold with a nice flat back over the legs. And if you'd like, you can use blocks here or something to support you in this stretch. So I'm going to place my blocks out the front here, and as I fold over, place your hands on the blocks or on the floor in front of you, and feel that stretch not only through the hamstrings but all the way through the spine as well. And I'm going to send out my blocks here a little bit further away from me so I can stretch out my back as I stretch out my hamstrings. And if you need to adjust the feet here, then do so. Feel this stretch through the shoulders, through the back. Allow your head to relax down. Stretching through the hamstrings. If you take your legs a little bit further out, if you're on a nice sticky mat, should feel pretty good to stretch out those inner thighs. And let's hold here for 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Okay, and slowly coming up, let's place our full hands on the block. I'm going to walk my feet back in a little bit. It's a little bit more stable to come up, and rolling up through the spine, all the way through the center. Let's take a big stretch all the way to the sky. And we're coming back into our warrior two. So changing the foot position, front foot to the front of your mat, the back foot is at 90 degrees. So you may have to adjust the feet a little bit as you come down. And let's hold here in warrior two for a couple of nice big deep breaths. Really expand and open through the chest. Lift the heart. Nice, strong, straight back leg. Really work that front thigh just for a moment longer. And windmill the arms all the way down. Let's come back into a plank position. Rocking forward. Inhale. Exhale all the way down. Inhale up to cobra or to your upward facing dog. And we're back in our downward facing dog. Now that was a lot of work, so let's come down into a child pose. So bring your knees nice and wide on the mat. Walk your hands out in front of you so we get another nice stretch through the shoulders, through the back. Take your tailbone high this time. Keep it high, placing your forehead down onto the mat. Tailbone is high. Really feeling that stretch through the spine. And if it feels good to do so, just rock side to side here. That might feel really good. Rocking side to side. Big deep breaths through the nose. Always remembering to lead with the breath. Just closing your eyes for just a moment. Settling yourself in this stretch. And as we come up on an inhale, pressing your hands down into the mat, curling your toes behind you, keeping your knees, your feet quite wide, we're going to walk our hands back and come into our Malasana. Now I'm going to just pop into the center of the screen here. So coming down into your Malasana, your feet are nice and wide. Your arms are pressing your knees nice and wide in Malasana. And here you're working on stretching out your spine. Now, I don't have a lot of flexibility in my calf muscles in the back of my legs. So I have a tendency to lift my heels a little bit. That's not so good. So if you do need to, put a roll towel underneath your heels so that you feel stable all the way through the legs. And let's rock forward a little bit. Should we try a crow before we come down onto the floor? So we'll bring our hands in front of us, come up high on the toes. And if we rock forward and place our knees on the upper arms, we can start to take some weight through the fingers. And if you're comfortable to do so, you can start to rock your body weight forward. Nice connection between the knees and your upper arms, pressing on to your upper arms, lifting your toes up into our crow pose. And at any time, bring your toes down and rock back into your Malasana. Nice straight back, opening up the thighs here. Nice big long, slow deep breaths. And from our Malasana, let's slowly just come back onto the seat. So taking your butt behind you, Feet out the front. I'm going to scoot forward a little bit. We're bringing our arms up, and if you can, just placing a little bit of weight on your toes, abdominals nice and strong, straight back, and just lift one foot. If you feel the balance, then lift the other foot up into Navasana, up into boat pose. And we'll just hold this for a moment. You can just take that down a little bit to the floor and then lift it up. Take it down, inhale, and exhale as you lift. Inhale. Now you can do all of this with your feet on the floor, or if you need some additional support, if it's a little bit too much for the abdominals, at any time you can place your hands behind your thighs for that extra support through the torso. Let's do 3 or 4 more of these. Lift up and down. Exhale. Inhale down, working through those abdominals. Exhale. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Should we do one more? Squeeze in one more. Really work it. Exhale. Inhale down. And let's hug the knees and come all the way onto our backs. And just give yourself a nice hug, rocking the hips side to side. And a little bit of a roll through the spine. So crossing over your ankles. Let's just do a little bit of a rock and a roll all the way up. Coming back up into a seated position. So this might be nice to rock and roll through the spine. And back up into a seated position. I'll face the front. And let's do a seated twist. So taking our legs out in front of us, let's take up the left leg first and cross it over the right leg. So the right leg is nice and straight and stretched out in front of you, holding on to that left knee. Place your left arm behind you and up onto your fingertips, just pressing down into the mat. Taking up the right arm above you, let's twist over to the left and placing that elbow on the outside of the knee and feel that twist through the spine. Elongating the spine, no tension in the neck here, so allow your neck to relax. This is about the stretch through the spine, relaxing completely the neck. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that on the other side. And if you want to, just allow those legs to relax and bringing up the right knee, crossing it over the left side. Let's bring our right hand behind us, left hand up to the sky. So we're elongating the spine before we move into our twist and placing that elbow on the outside of the knee. You should really feel that. It's a beautiful twist all the way through the spine. Long, big, deep breaths. We tend to hold our breath in some of these positions. So it's always a good idea to check in on the breath. And after the last inhale, exhale back to the front. Let's shake our legs out a little bit. And we're moving into a twist now on to our backs. I'm just going to pull my mat out a little bit here. Roll onto your backs because the twists feel so good. Let's do more of them. So coming onto your backs and bringing the knees up into your chest, giving them a little hug. Now let's take our left ankle over the right, place our arms out to the side of us, so nice and stretched at 90 degrees, and allowing those knees to fall over to the right side. Keep them nice and high, And if you'd like to really increase that twist, then place your right hand on the top of your left thigh and look over your left shoulder. And really try and relax as much as you can in this pose. There may be a little bit of tension there as you press down with the right hand, but the aim here is to really relax and breathe into this pose so that all of the back muscles can relax, the vertebrae can realign. This is really good for us. Beautiful twist through the entire spine of the upper back. One more breath. And let's take that arm out and come back up to the center. Cross over onto the other side. And let's let those knees fall over to the left side. Placing your left hand over the right thigh, looking over your right shoulder. And if you haven't done so already, close your eyes and enjoy this beautiful twist through the upper spine. Breathing into it. Little bit of pressure on the top of that left leg. Take you into the twist a little bit deeper. Relaxing into the pose for one more nice big deep breath. And hands out wide, pressing your hands into the floor, bring your knees back into your body, give yourself a hug. And before Shavasana, let's do a happy baby. It's always good to open up the hips before we relax. So we're taking the knees and the feet wide, grabbing a hold of the outside of your feet, flex your feet and pull down with your hands slightly. Your knees are outside of the body and just rocking side to side. And this is a really nice hip opener, really nice way to end the class before we relax in Shavasana. So rocking side to side. That may feel good on the back too, on the upper back, to really relax all the way through into the floor and stopping in the center. Let's relax our legs out, straight down the mat, our hands down beside us, and you can separate your feet, separate your legs, separate your arms nice and wide, or keep them close to your side, whatever's comfortable. And getting your neck into a nice comfortable position. Here we are in our Shavasana. So we'll just stay here for a few breaths. Inhale. Exhale, and as you continue to take these long, slow, deep breaths, just check in on your body and see how everything feels compared to how everything felt before you started the class. A little body scan all the way from your toes through the legs, the lower torso, the spine, the chest, your shoulders, down to your fingertips, all the way through to the top of your head. And just a few more breaths as you relax here, molding your body into the floor. And taking your arms up above the head, let's do a really nice big stretch. Maybe clasp your hands, turn them, your palms away from you, and really stretch all the way through the body like a kid waking up. And rolling onto one side before we come back up to a seated position, pressing yourself back up into an easy seat. Hello, Aurelio. And if you are comfortable to do so, just crossing the legs, placing your hands on the front of your thighs, front of your knees. Let's do one big deep breath in together, using the entire torso. Exhale it out. And inhale with the arms now, all the way up high above you. Palms meet at the top. Bring your palms down in front of the heart. And when you're ready, coming up through into center. Namaste. Thank you for joining me from my heart to yours.